I'd made a couple of other documentaries, and people kept on hassling me to make one more. And I just thought, if you're going to make one more film documentary, it should be about the 80s. And there was no other word that came to mind apart from Cannon in the 80s. So Brett read about it actually when we first announced it in Variety or something, I think.
Was it? I don't know. Yeah. So I called you.
You called me and said, I really want to be involved in this project.
You called me. That's great.
So
it's even better.
And Brett came on board and the thing got financed. It was really that simple. No, we just had to get cooperation from MGM, who actually own the library of Cannon films. They own the logo, they own the name, they own the library.
And I happened to be making a film at MGM at the time, so it was very useful, my relationship with the chairman of MGM. And I said, I want to, finance this film on Cannon Films. He goes, well, we own the library. So, well, that's why I'm asking you. So that's why the cooperation made it possible.
Did they actually know they owned the library at that point? Because it's always been kind of hidden in the back, hasn't it?
They were believe me, Gary Barber, who runs MGM, knows every film in the library, except they weren't very proud of them. And they weren't really exploiting them. And I said, this is
they didn't know the value of them, did they?
No, they still don't. I'd like to buy the Cannon Film Library from them if they would sell it to me, actually. That would be amazing. Mark calls them happy accidents, right?
Well, yeah, I like to say that at Cannon, they couldn't promise shit, but they sure could deliver it.
And I love the poster that says 52 films.
At Cannon Films, 52 films just wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough.
I mean, yeah, one
year. 52 films a year just wasn't enough.
This is when the major studios are making 6 to 12 films a year, and Cannon were making at least 30.
And I have a conspiracy theory, because we were just talking about it. I'm like, how did they afford to have almost every page of Variety during Cannes have it be a different poster that were movies that literally did not even exist or wasn't even in existence? And I thought that maybe they made a deal at the time with the management of Variety where they said, okay, we're going to take 100 pages this year, but we're only going to pay you for the movies that actually get made.
That would be a bum rap for Variety, though, wouldn't it?
Except, tell them the great that you
look, Variety is full of ads for films that never got made, and my favourite was Toby Hooper's Pinocchio the Robot. And we interviewed Toby Hooper for the documentary. I said, tell me all about Pinocchio the Robot. And he'd never heard of it. So
they took director's names, slapped them on a poster with an idea that, Menahem and Golan and Yoram just came up with.
In the elevator from level 1 to 3.
Yeah. And these guys, look, the truth is, at the end of the day, it's an incredible story, but the truth is they were mavericks in their own right. Yeah. I mean, for what they've created, what they were able to create and accomplish was unprecedented.
They came from Israel without a single cent in their pocket.
Yeah.
They basically got so big that they had the studios worried.
Yeah.
They really did become a major force. And all they needed was that one film to break out. To break out and make that $100 million, and they'd probably still be with us today.
Yeah. No. It was a log line in the poster, which is 52 films were not enough. They had marketed, or not marketed, they had bought ads.
Well, they'd announced.
But they'd announced 52 films in 1 year. Now, were they actually making that many films? Who knows? They made a hell of a lot of movies.
I mean, look, they were certainly making 30 films a year.
Yeah, they're incredibly prolific.
And it's interesting, because this is a time when all these films wouldn't just go to DVD, they would get theatrical releases all around the world. And the way they sold these films is they were the independent company that overseas buyers could come to, who they could give them some kind of American films, their skewed version of an American film with a sometime famous American star.
Yeah.
They could give something that the studios weren't giving to these independent distributors. Well, they signed they signed Julie Andrews thinking it was a musical. It wasn't actually a musical. It was about a female cellist. But anyway, they were the first guys who actually gave Konchalovsky a break in America. They made 4 films with Konchalovsky.
No, I think their heart was in the schlock. Their heart was in the nudity and the action. That was right? Don't you agree?
But they also had European sensibilities as well.
Absolutely. No. I mean, look, like you said, Happy Accidents is a great way to describe these films. Runaway Train is a fantastic film. I don't think I think that was, and it was a happy accident probably because what happened was they were probably busy with the Ninja series or Break-In. Yeah. They were focusing on the movies that they were thinking was, and it was under the radar. Sometimes a film comes under the radar. The director gets to go make the movie that he wants to make, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is a real movie. But it's again, it's a cautionary tale, but you got to give them their props, because these guys were passionate and had a love and admiration for movies.
Yeah, they lived, breathed, slept, ate movies.
Yeah.
And they wanted to bring some prestige to the company. I think that's the reason why we did get. I mean, when they wanted to bring prestige to the company, they made films with Norman Mailer and with Jean-Luc Godard. Now, you'd have to be crazy to think that those films are going to find any audience.